Hey, what's
What?
what is Everyone keeps telling me that my basing is too plain and I need to it.
Are you talking about flocking?
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
No. You said something very different.
Look, can you show me how to do it or not?
Yeah. Check out this week's video and I'll show you how to make it in less than 5 minutes. You gutter mouth. Those of you who watch the channel know that I am in the process of 3D printing an entire village. Okay, I want it to fit on a 4x4 board. By the time I'm done, it'll probably be a little bit bigger than that, but that's okay. And as I've been creating this village, I have been learning all sorts of things about creating terrain and different things like that that I'm absolutely loving. Now, I always wanted this hobby to be something that was family friendly, and I guess something that kind of goes along with that is that cost friendly is kind of important, because I mean, it's not very family friendly if it costs you an arm and a leg. You want to be able to do these things with just about anyone, and if you're putting all of your money into it all the time, it's not going to work. So this week I set out to make my village look a little better. And where do you start but from the ground up, right? So I had to start with the ground. And when I say ground, I mean flocking. Now, if you go to a hobby store and you find flocking, you can find it in a bag, and it's like $8 for just a small little packet of it. That's not going to go very far. You know, you can spend $20 or $30 and get a bigger container of it that'll probably do what you want to do. But I have more flocking than I will ever be able to use, and it cost me $4. So let's talk about how that works. So over a year ago, when I had the first idea for Pulsegate, which is the tabletop game that I'm kind of designing and working on myself in the background. So if you're interested in that, you know, stick around. I'll be posting some stuff on it actually pretty soon. As I've been working on all this terrain, I've actually made some breakthroughs in that too. But I wanted to do some flocking for the board that I was making. And so I set out to find a way to make cheap flocking. And what I came up with was something I've never seen anybody else do. And honestly, I don't even know if it's safe. A lot of you have probably seen these wet blocks. They're those green bricks that most of your grandparents or maybe your mom has that they put flowers in. And the funny thing is that if you've ever squeezed one, you know that they turn into powder, and it's like a green powder. And in my mind, guess what that looked like? Flocking. And so I thought, I bet I could get some of these and just with a little bit of sandpaper, just sand them down into this perfect powder that I can use. When I started making my board, that's exactly what I did. This board, the majority of it is made with flocking that I did from there. So I mean, if you have it around the house, go for it, use it. But the sanding process took hours. It took forever. And you know, there wasn't a ton of it. I mean, the bricks aren't expensive. They're, you know, $1 a brick. So if you got a couple bucks and you want to do flocking that way, that's definitely a way that you can do it. That's cheap and easy. I mean, it's already green, so you don't have to color it. You don't have to do anything else. You just have the flocking and it works, and you can combine it with other things. But in the end, it was just really, really hard. And then I saw some people talking about sawdust and how you could use sawdust for flocking. And I thought, that's great. I'm totally going to do that. I don't have any sawdust. So where do I get sawdust? There's 100 places you can find sawdust. Anyone who's working on, you know, anything generally is going to be making sawdust. So you can get it from them. You can go to a shop, you know, that does anything with wood, and I'm sure they'd give it to you. Okay. But I didn't have any available. And so I thought, how am I going to get this? Do I need to cut stuff? Do I need to start sanding things again? And then I thought, but that doesn't save me any time. What can I do? And then, as I was walking through the store, I saw something. If you have a hamster, or have ever had a hamster, you have seen the pine wood bedding. And it's thin and it's small. Now, is it small enough to be used as flocking? No, it's way too big for that. A lot of the pieces are, you know, well over an inch, so that won't work. So you got to be able to make it smaller. And to do that, well, I used the magic bullet that I stole from my parents when they moved. But any blender, any magic bullet, coffee grinder works awesome and gets it to just tiny, tiny pieces. But any of those things can generally be used to turn that bedding into sawdust. Really fine sawdust. Food processor didn't work very well, so just kind of keep that one in mind. But I was able to grind that up into this powder, you know, this sawdust, and it didn't take that long. Okay, and as you can see, I mean, I made enough to cover a pretty large area, and I haven't even used a tenth of this container, this thing. And this whole thing cost $3.48. So if you can't find sawdust, buy one of these and just make your own. It's really quick, it's really easy, and you'll have enough to flock anything you could possibly want to flock. However many armies or boards or whatever you're doing, it'll be enough. For most of you, it'll be enough. And then once you have all of your sawdust, all you have to do is get some paint, throw it in a cup, mix it together. Mix together whatever colors you want. If you want grass, if you want leaves, if you want hay, if you want any of those things, any flocking you can think of, you can basically use this sawdust for, and just change the color of it. I mean, you could even throw white in there and use it for snow if you wanted to. I think there's better options for snow, and I even have a video on making your own snow if you want to come check that out right here. But there's lots of different things that you can do with it. And as you're grinding this up, you're going to want to use a sifter of some kind to separate the larger pieces from the smaller pieces. The finer stuff, I mean, you're going to want different kinds of flocking. Okay, and so the finer stuff you can use for your grass or your game board or whatever it is. And then the bigger ones, color them different colors. Make them into flowers. Make them into leaves. You know, if you ever wanted to do a base with autumn colors, you can do reds, you can do yellows, you can do browns. And you can mix them all together and just have, it looks like you're walking through a forest in autumn, you know, which I think is pretty cool. And honestly, that's all it takes. A little bit of sawdust, a little bit of paint, mix it together. I've seen people do it with water and glue and things like that, and you can totally do that. But in my mind, if you're going to put it down on a board or put it down on a base, you're going to put water and glue on it anyway. So why do it twice? Paint it up, just put the paint in it, wait till it's dry. You can throw it in the oven and bake it if you want for a really low temperature. Like put it in an hour at, you know, at the lowest temperature, just like you would with dirt or anything like that. And it will dry it right out. But in my experience, you can just mix in the paint and then pour it out and it's ready to go. So flocking, super easy. And something else I learned going back to my little brick is that if you throw the brick inside of a blender too, you can get these nice bigger fluffy chunks that you can use for flocking still if you want to, or you can use them as whatever you see fit, and they're green and they're there, and it's a lot faster than sanding them down. Doing this has been so fun. I have enjoyed it. You know, I'm working on some other things for roads, so if you want to know how to make roads and things like that, like, subscribe to the channel, and we're gonna go over that. And these roads, I promise you, are different than most of the things that you've probably seen out there. And again, you can probably make a lot of them for just a couple bucks. And so they're reusable. You can use them anywhere you want. It's awesome. I have just loved finding these different things out and showing them to you. One of the things I love about this community is that everyone's willing to share what they have. You know, I don't want to just have my game board look a specific way. I want everyone to be able to have something that looks the way that they want. And so I share it just like everyone else has shared stuff with me. So if you have anything that you've tried and over the years you've just learned how to make it easier and easier, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear about the stuff that started out as a nightmare for you and you just found some easy way to do it that looks great. So please post that. And if there's something that you do and you hate, let me know what that is too, because maybe together we can find a way to make it a little easier. And then, as always, thank you for joining us here at Pulsegate. And don't forget, don't spend too much time making your world that you forget to spend some time in it. Until next time.